So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be the last speaker of the day, and only the strong one survived and made it to this hour. So I will try to be interesting in the next 10 or 15 minutes. My name is Miki Shenkman. I'm the Senior Director of Sales and Business Development at Orbit Communication Systems for EMEA. And this is what I do most of the year. And in my spare time, the rest of the year, which means approximately 30 to 40 days a year, I'm also a Lieutenant Colonel in the Israeli Reserve, Battalion Commander in the Israeli Infantry. So from this point of view, both point of view, I would like to share with you some thoughts and understanding about the challenges of the modern battlefield from a communication point of view, combined with the application and the challenges, the real challenges of the fighters. So the name of the presentation is Unleash the Potential Communication in the Modern Battlefield. And of course what I will try to do is to persuade you that there is a lot of potential in investing in a good network, in a good communication system. First of all, before we go directly to the systems that and to the networks that we will talk about, I'd like to start with a short part from a movie I like a lot and seen several times that demonstrate quite nicely what happens when you upgrade a platform that we all very much familiar with. And it's actually kind of a communication system. So a short part from the movie Lucy.
It is estimated that most human beings only use 10% of the brain's capacity. Imagine if we could access 100%, interesting things begin to happen. Yes?
Professor Norman, my name is Lucy. I just read all your research on the human brain. It's a little rudimentary, but you're on the right track.
Thank you.
I have access to 28% of my cerebral capacity. I can feel every living part.
Since when did you start writing Chinese?
Since an hour ago.
What happens when she reaches 100%? I have no idea.
So what will happen when we reach 100% of the potential of the modern communication? I really don't have any idea, but let's start small steps from the start and find out together what we can do to improve the current situation of the communication in the modern battlefield. Actually, if there is nothing else that you remember from this lecture, please see the movie Lucy, and it's a great one. So, Lucy, the name is Lucy. So, first of all, let's try to describe in short words how the modern battlefield looks like. You can see that the modern battlefield looks like usually today. There is almost no military versus military style like in World War II. Most of the fights today are between military organization of the Western states or organized military against militia terrorists groups, small groups that may be small, but they are armed to the teeth with the best weapons that available today, lethal weapons, the best technology, and they are trying to do whatever they can to make it hard for the big army to locate them. So they are moving into closed areas, urban areas, bushes, jungles, and so on, which means that it's very hard to locate them. And when when the fight is going on between an urban environment, sometimes it's even hard to see who's the enemy, who's the foe, who's your friend, and you to distinguish all of that while fighting. So you can see several platforms, tanks, UAVs, helicopters, drones, infantry moving into a war zone. All of those platforms, all of those units have different missions, and they want to achieve one objective together. In order to achieve their mission and the objective, they need to communicate with one each other. Once it was done by radio communication. Today, you can transform and put HD video, and you can see pictures online. So all of those units need to communicate with one each other, and it's tough. Now, as an infantry warrior at the end, or even better, if you're a commander, actually what you want to do when you come into this situation is not to talk to each platform by itself. It's hard to do, and it's almost impossible mission. What you really wanted, what was your dream, if you may say so, is to look at the environment and to see your enemy, to distinguish between friend or foe without communicating specifically with one platform, just to look at the environment. And when you locate an enemy, a threat, to push a real or a virtual button, and then the target will be engaged. If we'll try to put it in one picture, it will show something like this. This is the modern and even the future dream. There are already some systems that work and combine several systems together through a very elaborate communication network. One shot, one kill, many shotguns. Many shotguns means that the commander that we are looking at him here does not care who fired the missile. He does not want to communicate directly to the artillery or to the tank. He just wants to locate the enemy, to push the button, and something from behind will do the algorithm for him, will communicate with the right platform at the right time, and fire the right weapon for effect. And if we are taking all of that into consideration today, maybe once you could go into a battlefield with flags and radio communication that works from time to time, sometimes yes, sometimes not. Today, without a very strong backbone, very smart network, very reliable communication network, you cannot complete your mission. Which means that multi-layer communications are the enabler in the modern battlefield. You see the pictures here, you see different platforms, infantry at the front, drones, UAVs, missiles, everything you need to understand where your forces are, where the enemy are. You cannot do it without very strong, very reliable communication network. And the question that every organization need to ask themselves is, where do I put my money? On what do I invest? Do I invest in upgrading my latest platforms, better jets from, let's say, F-14 to F-35, the last version of the tank, the UAV, the latest model that can fly more far, or can take heavier payload, or maybe the right place to put the money is to use the current system that already has some capabilities and make synergy between them. And by that, making a more elaborate, smart network and a more lethal network of firearms. So let's answer this question together and start talking in specifics. What we have today. First of all, you can see that now we'll focus on the aerial side and we'll put some aerial solutions. You can see that we have the drones 1,000 feet flying from the ground. Then we have the first layer UAVs, the bigger UAVs type 2, type 3, and of course from above we have the jets. Now to communicate between them, the first thing that you need to do is to have some kind of communication system. The first one is line of sight, direct line of sight through RF. Every unit talks to every system and control them and see if they need to transmit video, real-time images, real-time video, audio. They can do it by communication between the ground unit. It can be a deployable 1-2 meter or maybe a transferable 5-meter antenna that can move from place to place, and then it communicates one platform at a time. But we can add a different network, because the tools that the platforms, the UAVs that are flying in the air, can communicate between themselves, and they can transmit radio and signals from one to another. So we have a second communication layer, and some of those platforms, some of those aerial vehicles, UAVs or jets, can also be relays and transmit to further places that they don't have line of sight, but we can use line of sight between the ground station, the platform, other platform, and then the last platform even can be some kind of a backhaul, as you can see here, which means actually if you sending a troop of infantry, soldiers, special forces far, far away, and they don't have line of sight or radio connection, through this network, the last aerial platform that is flying over their area can be their backhaul, and they will feel and can communicate as if they were 5 kilometers away from base. Now sometimes, you don't have line of sight and you don't have relays, so we need a different solution, another solution, and we can add another layer, the behind line of sight layer, through satellites. Now we can see the entire picture. We have line of sight communication between the base stations and their aerial platforms. They can communicate between themselves. They can produce and create backhauls for long and far away units, and when there is no line of sight, you can add the satellite, and today you have very advanced constellations, not only GEO, but also EMEA or LEO satellite. Satellites communication is something that is actually getting very much commercial, and it's getting more and more easier to use. So this entire network, the same platforms that you have, you already can see that you can do much better with the same platforms, just a little bit different, adjusting the network of communication. So this is the methodology, but when you have a network of communication, you also need to care, CER, about how you preserve it. So we thought about 3 aspects that are very important. The first one is commonality, the second one is efficiency, and the third one is reliability. Let's see how we can be put more commonality in our systems and be reliable. This is one example of a multi-purpose terminal antenna, SATCOM antenna, that can be mounted on helicopters. It is flexible from 30 centimeters at the same pedestal, only different size antenna that can be mounted on helicopters, UAV, fighter jets, mission airplanes, tail mount, fuselage mount, near the engines of the helicopter. And instead of using different terminals, which many armies do today, different terminals for helicopter, different terminals for jet fighters, for mission planes, you can use the same terminal for different platforms. This is very common now. And of course, those systems need to be very mid-standard, very robust, so you have the robustness here. What about efficiency? There are many frequencies that are flying in the air, that operates in the air, many bands. For all of you may know, there are L-band, S-band, KU, KA, a lot of bands that you can use to transmit your information. So what does that mean? Do we need a single platform for every band? Well, the answer used to be, until 5 years ago, yes. If you are operating in a KU band, then you can take this MPT30 only in a KU. And if you're operating in a different frequency, KA, X, or else, then you need 3 or 4 types of systems. That's not very efficient. Today, we have good solutions for this kind of challenge, because the current systems, actually the current system that we have today, the target communication system, you can see example of a multi-band KU-KA, 25 centimeters, that can be automatically switched, mechanically switched by flying in the air. This is one solution. The other solution, the most advanced, and it's actually some kind of radio, RF wonder, is the multi-band KU-KA simultaneous. You use the same feed without any interference, and you're flying seamless, switching between KU and KA or different bands. So if we take the last slide, when you use the same multi-purpose terminal, and it has ability to go seamless between KU and KA, you actually have something that is very much robust, very efficient, very smart, and you can use less terminals to create a more advanced communication network. Now, all of those things were the battlefield, but let's talk a little bit about the civilian air field. Today, not like in the past, the battlefield extends far behind the battlefield. Because when a UAV is going into his mission, sometimes he crosses civilian airspace, he lands and operates from civilian airports, he talks with ground control, because if in the past 40 years ago, an army could take a UAV and then operate it without even care about the airspace that is flying in, without regulation or certification. This is not the situation today. Today, everything that flies within a civilian airspace needs to be regulated. So you need to produce systems, radio gateways, and all of those terminals that are not only military capable, but also civilian certified. So we need to keep that in mind. And again, there are good solutions, and you're more than welcome to see some of them in orbit communication booth down the hall, that combines all of the examples that we saw that are also military grade systems and civilian certified systems. And actually, today we announced that on the IAI UAV here on TP, we, Orbit Communication Systems, integrated with Rafael and with IAI, our line of sight and our SATCOM communication system on the UAV, and a radio gateway that enables all of the solutions that you see here, a radio gateway that enables the UAV to talk with the ground control like it was Boeing 320 or something like that, and to operate in a civilian airspace. So I hope we showed some example today of how you can use the same platforms that you have today and invest smartly by upgrading your communication network, and by that be more efficient in the battlefield, the modern battlefield, but also it applies even to civilian fleets and Navy fleets and everything that operates with a big, large platform fleet. Thank you very much. Questions? I will be glad to answer. Thank you. Again, you're invited to our booth.